All right, so the second taco has just dropped. The first one already hit, so the Tuesday tacos are starting off well. Let's go ahead and get into some of my favorite props to pair with tonight's tacos. So we are going to start out with some NHL bets that we can pair with this one. Okay, typically speaking, I'm just always going to take the tacos because more times than not, they are going to hit. And I touched on this in that Taco Tuesday video that I posted, how to beat Taco Tuesday each and every day. If you haven't watched that, try to go ahead and watch it. I think it's a good kind of information source. So the first one, just because it's the first one that's showing right now, we're going to look at Dougie Hamilton over 3.5 shots on goal. And this is kind of what I mentioned, guys. Like, these will update throughout the day. And so it is tough sometimes to give the morning props because we are trying to game them. Okay. And so looking at this on DK Sportsbook, we are seeing -120. Okay. Which is obviously not something that we like. And so I've mentioned this a few times. I like to use DK Sportsbook as a good reference, a consistent reference to use in these videos. Now, on average, Hamilton's over is set at -137, which is kind of the magic number that we want to hit when we're looking for props. And the under is set at +102 on average. Okay, FanDuel is the one that's really pulling in the average to be greater than that. They have the line set at -146. So there's a little bit of discrepancy there. Typically speaking, I want to find props that are going to be telling us the same consistent message, which is going to be the over. Right now with this one, we're not exactly getting it, although across the board, it is one that on average is looking appealing. So if you guys want to use that one, by all means you can. And I probably should have started with this one because this one is probably going to be one that goes away as the day progresses. And we can see, guys, this is going to be the biggest worry. The over here is favored, okay? -145 on average, okay? The under is set at +112. And so, like, let's just say we take the juice out of that, it's still favored at 56% likely to hit. And so we can see DK Sportsbook does have this one set at -140. This is looking like a strong bet that we're going to get. I just want to remind you guys, the reason why we're looking at bets that are like -140 or really -137 is that they are favored to get the over. If we can game the game, we're going to be successful in the long term. And the whole point of Taco Tuesday is to find the best odd bets that we can have. We want to have 5 bets that can hit. Okay. We're already on track to do that with the first taco kind of easily hitting. So this one in theory should be a good bet. Okay. This is one that I'm making already or already have made. Biggest worry is that, just 4 out of the last 5 games hasn't gotten the over. That's going to worry a lot of people. That does worry me as well. This is much more me trusting Vegas knows more than I do, more than our eyes do, I guess, in this scenario. So this one is still there right now. Hasn't changed at all. -135 for the over, +105 for the under. Still a okay one. Like I said, I want to get to at least -137. That's kind of the magic number. Now, here's another interesting one, and I don't like it. Just the eye test isn't matching up, right? Looking at it, the under is set at -143. So under 2.5 shots in goal. But we can see 3 out of the past 5 games has gotten the over. So not exactly appealing there. And oh my goodness, I'm looking at the odds on one of the bets that I'm going to pull up next. It just got better, and I hope it doesn't disappear. And actually, for what it's worth, I'm just going to get into that one real quick. Okay, so this one is also set at a pretty good number, -150 for the over, okay? And the under is at +115. Okay, that is crazy. That is a very good number that we're getting for the over here. Okay, now I'm going to look at both these ones on DK Sportsbook just to see if we have the same consistent message. Okay, so we can see -130 on DK Sportsbook, so a little bit down, but we can still see they are favoring the over pretty aggressively there, so we like to see that. And now, yeah, so DK Sportsbook is also saying about -125 for the under here as well. So we are seeing like DK be a little bit more conservative with how they are pricing stuff for the day. But I really did want to bring up that Phillip one because, I mean, that's just pretty good across the board. Yeah, that's crazy. And for what it's worth, I like to refer to DK Sportsbook and FanDuel the most. Both of their lines are set at -130 for Phillip. So I guess not locking though, but I love the fact that on average, we are getting good odds for those two. So those are 3 bets NHL-wise that we have that are highly favored to hit that we can use with this prop, obviously. And so if one of those hit and this prop hits, we are breaking even just off of that, off of the 3 bets. There is another one that I did want to pull out that I don't love as much, okay? And it's going to be this one. So someone actually asked me this in the comments, like, hey, what do you feel about Connor McDavid over 0.5 shots on goal. So 1 shot on goal, or sorry, 1 goal, not shot on goal, 1 goal. So I'm going to assume the reason why we got this question was this right here. Anytime goal scored, -180 on DK Sportsbook. That is a crazy high number, right? And if we look across the sportsbooks on average, it is coming in at about -150, which is obviously a good number. The issue that I have with a prop like this is that it's very much like a touchdown bet. You know, touchdowns are random, like week to week. Throughout the season, sure, you can predict it, and I think that's why we are getting a good over number here. What I just kind of want to caution you guys against that. Like, sure, could he score? Sure. But it is one of those ones that, like, in the long term might be more predictable, week to week, day to day, game to game, not as predictable. And for what it's worth, I mean, we can see that he does, 57 games played, 42 goals. Okay, so he is someone that typically is a goal scorer, and I think that's why we are getting such a good number, is the simple fact that he hasn't had goals lately. It's that kind of regression to the mean. He is more likely to get back to his average, is I think why we're getting such a good number for him. It is still a risk. Let's be honest with that. Like, less predictable of a stat, but a great number. Tough to ignore that. So we do have some PGA bets available as well that we could pair with this. Now, I do want to kind of hesitate with this a little bit because last week, I think the round 1 was about 60% of them hit, which is a good number. We'll take that any day of the week. And then round 2 was about the same. I think it was a little bit less. And then round 3 and round 4 were 5 out of 5 and 4 out of 4. Now, why is that? We knew how the course was going to play in round 3 and round 4. We have a good assumption. We have the data to properly gauge how the course is going to play. Okay, but there are some independent factors, and this is really why I like golf, because we are really just playing the golfer and how the course is going to play. Now, some other variables come into play, like weather, pin location, tee location, if the tees are playing up, if the pins are tucked in some tough spots. And you guys will see this course, and let me just pull it up here for you guys. If they have it available, they do. Okay, so this course is a very waterline course. Just off of these first 3 holes, we can see that there is some water kind of in play. So what they can do, and it could make scoring harder and also greens more difficult to hit. If they tuck a pin like right here on this green, golfers are going to tend to try to miss short, so they're avoiding the water. They could tuck a pin here, okay? And so golfers are going to tend to miss to the right. And that is a theme for this course. It's very well protected a lot. And so it really just depends on where the pins are being placed in terms of like greens of regulation and really scoring opportunities as well. So right now we don't have that information. And I also want to point out that this is a par 70 course. So with that means that we are getting only 1 par 5 per 9. Okay. Which makes greens tougher to hit because par 5s, you get typically 4, and that should in theory be like 4 greens because you get 3 shots to hit the green, and these are pro golfers. They're going to be able to do that. For the most part, par 5s are scoring opportunities for PGA Tour players. Last week that wasn't exactly the case, but typically speaking, that's how it's going to be. And so this week we only have 2. And so, sure, we have 2 automatic greens in regulation, should on paper, knock on wood, but I wish that was a little bit better. So let me go ahead and pull up some props here. So if we just look at matchup props, and I don't like to do these ones because these are about 50-50, but we see Sungjae Im over Taylor Pendrith. Not a big edge, okay? Taylor Pendrith gets about 3.7 birdie or better per tournament, and Sungjae Im gets about 4.6, so that's one you could do. I want to get into some other ones. So this is just total birdies or better. We can see the lines are very low. And so if we look at the weather as it sits right now, we look at daily. Okay, so wow, the winds have changed. The winds have changed since I last looked. Interesting. That's going to make the scoring more difficult, okay? So I'm not even going to mess with birdies or better because should be more difficult to hit birdies if the wind is that high. So let's go ahead and look at strokes here. Strokes was already favoring over. And so if the winds are going to be playing, once again, let's look at it again on Thursday, 19 mile per hour winds. When it gets up to 20, it's really changing how a course is going to play. So looking at this, guys, man, I'm not saying do this, but this is a situation where we could bet on how the course is going to play. And so with that, what you could do is literally just take the top guys. And obviously you want to use this list and maybe strokes, maybe greens in regulation. Okay, I'll pull up both of them and just bet the highest number here and bet the unders. okay? And this is where we're kind of playing the course. Like if it's going to be that windy, it should be much more difficult to hit the greens, especially if golfers are going to be playing more conservative if the pins are kind of in those tucked locations like I'm mentioning. So you could just do a big string of bets. Now, I don't say to do that with tacos because we are trying to make profit. This is a free promotion, pretty much a promo each and every week, or at least something in which we shouldn't be losing money on. Once again, we need to just have 5 bets hit, win, okay? And we're breaking even. Anything more than that, that's 33%, right? Like that shouldn't be hard to do. And so we can see like a lot of these lines are set at 12 or 11 and a half. If it is that windy, and we don't know, weather changes, right? It's going to be very difficult for them to hit that many greens in regulation. And then also looking at strokes, like we could bet the over strokes as well, because it's going to play extremely difficult here. And so this is a situation in which maybe you do 6 of them and 4 of them hit. I would take that, right? I would take that. Now, is there anyone in particular that we should be using? And let's look at strokes here. So Sunjam over 69.5. He is the favorite here. Okay. Projected to get, 70. That's not huge. That's a half a stroke. Okay. We can see not a big edge there, but if the weather does play the way it's projecting to, I think I like that. Now I want to call it this one, Billy Horschel. I would bet over here for Billy Horschel. Billy Horschel has been changing his swing, which I don't really get it. He was one of the best players on the tour last year, decided to change his swing. So if it is that windy, and he's kind of struggling with his swing, it's going to be tough to see him playing well, okay? And for what it's worth, once again, I don't think we really have any good props just yet NBA-wise. Nothing has really changed from this morning's video, so we'll go ahead and pass on this, okay? And then just looking at college basketball real quick. And I do just remind you guys, check these lines before you're making these bets if you are making them based off of the lines, right? And that's really the goal, especially on Taco Tuesday, especially when we don't have any NBA stuff, especially when golf is still a couple of days out, in which the weather could really change how the tournament plays. If that weather, that breeze goes away at that tournament, it's going to be easy to hit those greens, just as an FYI. So looking at it, let's see if we are still getting this prop here and the good line on it. Grant Sherfield over 3 balls made 2.5. Let's go back here, see if we're still getting that. And so this, I don't like the fact that this line is still out there, to be honest with you guys. I have a feeling someone watches my videos from PrizePicks and will correct them, if you will. And so the fact that they have chosen not to do this is very interesting. And so it's still a good number, minus 140. Like we'll take that, but it does worry me a little bit that it's still there, because minus 140, they typically don't leave those ones out. Still, on average, we'll take minus 140, right? And then this one as well, like this one's still available there as well. I kind of mentioned the reason why this bet was a decent one, because the other guard for Georgia Tech is out. He's not going to play. And so thus, Miles Kelly should be in for minutes regardless of how the game goes. And if the game's a blowout, which it's currently projected to be, he still is someone that has been getting minutes. So we can see 3 out of the past 5 games he's gotten the over. And really, I want to concentrate on these last 3. Just missed in the last game. And then the previous 2, 6 and 7. And that was with that guard getting injured. So also still a good bet. Let's just make sure this is still there as well at that good line that we were hoping for. And as you guys can see, I'm trying to pick up the pace so that we can get this video out so that you guys can get those NHL props. And hopefully they're good. Hopefully they hit, but hopefully they're still there. All right. So once again, this line is still out there. Very interesting that they're still giving it to us. For what it's worth, I just saw this one as well. This was a new one. DJ Jeffries over 6.5 rebounds. Let's go ahead and pull this one up here. Okay, we can see that line is set at minus 140. Another good number that we're getting. All right. So this is kind of my way of kind of diversifying our stocks, if you will. Sure, not all of them are going to hit. We know that, right? But if we can do favorable bets and have, let's just say, all the tacos hit and we have 2 bets hit as well. That's going to be 6 total bets hitting on the day. It's going to be a $15 profit if you're doing $5 bets. And we'll take that. We'll take the free money. So if we are consistently chasing these good lines, these good odds, it's going to be beneficial in the long term. Okay. And that's really my goal with these videos, is to find these best bets, and hopefully in the long term we can profit. All right. So we'll be fine using this bet. We just found that just now. I didn't get to research it too much, but minus 140, that's a good number. Okay. And we can see he has been someone that's consistently getting rebounds as well. Should be a good one. So Kelly as well, over 3.5 rebounds. That is looking like a pretty good bet that we're getting. And still Grant Sherfield over 2.5 3-pointers made. And I should mention, like, my biggest worry is the simple fact that he has been over it a decent amount. Last game against Texas Tech, I believe it is, he had like 12 3-ball attempts and only made 3. So he is trucking. He is shooting the ball a lot. Just needs to make them. And so NHL wise, you could do this goal one. Remember, it's like, let's just say minus 145 on average across the sports books, a good number that's out there. And then Frank, under 2.5 shots on goal. Remember, this line was about minus 143, which is a great number that we're getting. Decent odd bet that we're getting. And then we got the over shots on goal here, 1.5. And this number updated as I was doing this video. And just a reminder, please check these lines before you make these bets just to make sure that they are still the same. Minus 150. Okay, and it jumped to plus 110 for the under. So minus 150 for the over here, a good number. Now the issue is he's a defender. Obviously we don't like that. We'd want to have non-defenders pretty much when we're chasing shots on goal. And Stamkos over 3.5 shots on goal. Remember, this one was at minus 145, an extremely good number that we're getting currently. But that's all for this video. Let's have a good slate. And as always, guys, let's keep cashing. Good luck today. I hope we have a good slate. Fingers crossed for at least 5. Let's get 6 though. Let's get 7. Let's get 8. Let's hit all of them, right? 2 weeks ago, we were able to hit all of them. And then last week it was 6. So 2 straight profitable Taco Tuesdays. We need another one. Let's get another one. All right. Good luck today. And as always, let's keep cashing.